Welcome back to the Stay Low Podcast, guys. Episode 6. Today I got my boy Sam Masten with me. How you doing, Sam?
I'm good, bro. How are you, man?
I'm good. Thank you for taking the time to come on the show with me, man. It means a lot.
Oh yeah, bro. I'm glad you invited me on, man. This will be fun.
Hell yeah. So what's going on? How's school going? Are you strictly remote right now? In class? What's that like?
Yeah. Well, we're right now we're all online. I had a couple classes that started in person, and then like 2 weeks into school, they just shut it down. So yeah, I've been going all online. I'll probably go all online next semester too. So it's been different, but it's been good because it's a lot more free time, kind of a lot less time you have to go to class and stuff like that. So it's been good overall. But I'm doing pretty well, so I can't complain.
Definitely, that's good to hear. So what's hoop like? How what are practices looking like? I know the season's coming to a start. Are you guys getting ready for the team right now? Are you guys scouting? What's that like?
Yeah, man, hoop's going really well. We just got a new coach this year. He was our associate last year. So there was a little bit of like an adjustment period, kind of getting used to him and stuff like that. But we've been fortunate, man. We haven't gotten shut down. We've been able to keep it rolling this whole time. And so we're supposed to play next week in Kansas City. So we've been doing some scrimmages and stuff like that. But overall, man, we got a lot of guys coming back. And so I think we got a really good chance, to do a lot of special things this year. And so I'm just praying that we get all the games in, but you never know right now. So we'll see how it all goes.
Definitely. No, I hope you guys get to play the whole season too. I'm definitely rooting for you guys. You guys got some new faces, and Dalen's over there too. So that's my boy.
Yeah, definitely. Me too, man. So he's been a really good addition for us.
That's dope. We'll get into that. So let's jump straight into this interview, man. For those people the viewers that don't know you, born and raised Highlands Ranch. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, yeah, Highlands Ranch.
Do you want to go ahead and tell us what Highlands Ranch is like for those who've never been there or don't know what Highlands Ranch is about?
Yeah, man, it's a Highlands Ranch is an interesting place, to be honest with you. Like just being real, it's a pretty like predominantly white community. Basketball is something that's not like. I mean, I would say basketball is big, but I wouldn't say it's definitely not something that's like huge. You don't hear about a lot of guys coming out of Highlands Ranch playing basketball. But overall, it was a really good place for me. I met a lot of really good people. Made some of my closest friends there. And it's nice too with where I'm at now because it's about an hour 20, hour 30 from Greeley. So it's a perfect spot for me because I can kind of be on my own, but I can also go home if I need something, or my family can still come up to games. So overall, it's a really good spot for me.
That's dope. So who are like some of your first role models growing up? Like who can you remember put the ball in your hand?
Definitely my dad. My dad, he put the ball in my hand at a young age. The first house I lived in, we used to have a little basketball court like in our backyard. And I just remember that's where I first kind of fell in love with the game. And then after that, it was a variety of different, coaches and mentors kind of throughout the way. I know my high school coach was big for me. He did a lot for me. Guy Nick Graham, he did a lot for me growing up. It was just a lot of people that kind of led me down the right direction with basketball and just who I was as a person. So I was really fortunate with that growing up.
Oh yeah, that's dope. So what sports did you play growing up? I know you're big hoopster now, but did you play like any sports growing up? Other sports, I should say.
No, yeah. I didn't do a whole lot. I was really big into soccer, which is kind of weird because I feel like everybody plays soccer when they're like 4 or 5, and then they kind of just quit after that.
Right.
For some reason, I just love soccer. I don't know why. I kept it rolling until I was probably 12 or 13. I played baseball a little bit, but soccer was my other big one besides basketball.
Did you ever play football?
No, I was way too skinny for that. I always had coaches asking me if I wanted to come out, and I was just like, bro, like it sounds good in my head, and then the first time I get hit, I'd be done with it. I'm like,
yeah,
no.
Yeah.
I was like, nope, I'm not gonna do it.
That's dope. But so grade school. Let's talk about like grade school basketball. Did you play AU like right away, or were you in like a little feeder team?
Yeah, I kind of had a weird path to get to where I was at. Growing up, I kind of just stayed kind of where I was. Like all the way from like fourth through fifth, sixth grade, I kind of just stayed in my little my bubble down in Highlands Ranch, and then I slowly I met some people, and then I branched out a little bit, started playing in like Aurora and Denver, and then from there it just kind of just kept going. It was just one thing led to another, and then ultimately when I got to, I think it was eighth grade, I met Coach Simeon, who put me on with the Colorado Hawks, and that's who I was played with the whole rest of my high school career. So it kind of just came with time. I kind of just branched out as I went.
And what age or what like year did you start playing? What grade were you in when you started playing with Simeon and Dalen and all them?
Let's see here. It was summer going into my freshman year of high school. So I think it was like that 14U summer.
Okay. So
I played on another team, this team called the Wolves. It was just like a bunch of random dudes that we put together. And we used to play against the Hawks all the time. And that team kind of fell off a little bit. And so then Coach Simeon asked me to come on the Hawks, and they were going into the Adidas Gauntlet and all that. So it just seemed like the right fit for me at the time.
Definitely. Were you guys were you traveling with that team before you were? What was it called? The Wolves?
Yeah. Not really. I mean, we did your basic, like we would go to Wichita and play in that thing. And we would go to like Vegas, kind of like what every team does, but we weren't like, aside from Wichita and Vegas, we were just playing local tournaments here. So that was kind of my first taste of like basketball outside of Highlands Ranch. So I really liked it a lot.
That's dope. So, picking your high school, was that a hard decision? Would you already know you're going to go to Rock Canyon? What was that like?
Nah, bro, it was actually it was a crazy like story. So, when I was in eighth grade, like there's 4 high schools in Highlands Ranch, and Rock Canyon was like by far the worst at basketball at the time. Like they were terrible. And they were just going through like a coaching change, and like the whole program was kind of a joke. So I honestly wasn't even really like thinking I was going to go there. I thought I was going to go to like Thunder Ridge or Mountain Vista or something like that. And then I'll never forget it. I was in eighth grade. I was in a science class or something. I got this call from this random number, and I picked it up, and I was like, hello. And he was like, hey, this is Kent Grams. I'm the coach at Rock Canyon. And he was like, I don't want to say it was like a recruiting call, but he basically like was kind of like recruiting me kind of. Right. And he was just like, man, like, I want you to come to Rock Canyon so bad. Like, I know it's your home school. And I was like, how did you even know? Like, I wasn't even thinking about like not going to Rock Canyon. So then after that happened, like after he called me that call, I just knew like he really cared about the direction of the program and where it was going. He was a guy that actually really cared about changing Rock Canyon basketball. And so that's when I knew, like right away, I was like, yeah, that's who I want to be a part of. That's where I want to go to school. And so it was easy for me because it's 2 minutes down the road from my house. It was where I was supposed to go. So it ended up working out really well.
Nice. So did you play with Simeon and them like going into your freshman year or the summer after your freshman season?
It was going into my freshman year. Yeah. So I started like the spring of my eighth grade year, and then that whole summer before I got to high school.
Did any of those guys try to recruit you to go down in the city and go to school down there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't really like recruit, but like there was a lot of bros that were like just trying to like put ideas in my head. And I thought about it, like, to be honest, I always wanted to go to like East or G-Dub or something like that. But it was just where I was living. It wouldn't have worked out logistically. So, but yeah, they definitely did.
That's funny. I've always wondered if they ever tried to get you to get down in the city.
Yeah, bro. A lot of people always put those ideas in my head, and like in my head it sounded cool, but I was like, bro, I'm not trying to drive 40 minutes to go to school every day. I was like, whatever.
Hell yeah, definitely. That's dope. So you start playing with Simeon and them. I would say that's probably the best team you played on, like in your AU when you got with them, playing with Daylane, X, and Freak. You guys had a bunch of guys on there. Jonell. You guys what was it like playing with those guys?
Man,
and playing with Simeon as the coach too, who brings hella energy.
Those years, man, were some of the best years I had playing basketball. I mean, it was the first time where like I was playing with a bunch of dudes that like every dude on our team was like super talented. And so you kind of had to like figure, like, it wasn't like, you know, when you were playing high school, like your mindset was like, oh, I'm going to be a scorer, this, that. But it's like with that team, you kind of had to like find your role a little bit and figure out, you know, kind of how you fit in with those guys. And Coach Simeon was a big like energy guy, defensive guy. And that's kind of where I found my niche, was just being like this hustle dude. And like, just when I started playing like that, it kind of like the scoring, all that just kind of came. But for those guys, man, we had so much talent, and like, especially growing up, getting recruited with those guys, like when you have so much talent, a coach might come to watch one guy, but really they're watching the whole team, you know? So it was really good for me, man, because it got me a ton of exposure and put my game on stages where I could perform in front of a lot of different coaches and a lot of different levels. So it was really good.
That's dope. So you let's travel back a little bit. What was your were you playing your freshman year was Mitch and what was the other dude over there? He had the little
Mitch and
hunchback.
Tyler. Yep,
Tyler.
Yep.
What was your freshman year like playing with them? They were seniors, right?
Yeah, man, I was really fortunate for that, man, because I came in and like Mitch and Tyler, those dudes had been, you know, all league, all state guys for 2+ years, and it was kind of their senior year, and like Rock Candy was kind of finally on that stage where it was like turning it around. And so when I came in, I was just like, I just wanted to learn as much as I could from those guys. And it was, I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't like frustrating at times, because I wanted to be out there, like, you know, playing and kind of be the guy, but like to get to learn from those dudes for 2 years was awesome, man. And they taught me a lot, and they just super talented dudes, super good dudes off the floor. And so they kind of just showed me kind of what it was about, you know, to play there. And so ultimately it ended up being a really good thing for me.
That's dope, man. What do you remember the most from your freshman year? Like, what did you learn, you think, playing with those guys?
Yeah, man. I think my freshman year, I would say I just kind of learned how to win. Like, I remember there'd be days in practice where like Tyler or Mitch or we had a couple other seniors that year that they would say something to me. And that was the first time ever that I had like a teammate like call me out. And I was kind of like, yo, like what? And I didn't understand it necessarily at the time, but like looking back on it, all those winning habits that they had, that's kind of something that I just tried to instill on dudes that I played with for the rest of my career. And ultimately kind of led us to have the success that we did, was just kind of the habits and the culture of the program. So
that's dope, bro. So transitioning into your sophomore year, those guys are out of there. There is a couple older guys on your roster that I know of. But what was like your summer of going into your sophomore year?
Yeah, that year was it was an interesting year because we were still trying to figure out kind of adjusting to life without Mitch and Tyler. And for me, it was like, that was kind of like my time. Like I was like, all right, I'm going to, you know, stake my role and solidify myself that I belong here. And so then I kind of just tried to be a little bit more aggressive that summer and kind of just prove that like I could do some really special things here. I think I was able to do that. But we had a lot of really good dudes on that team still. I mean, there was a lot of talent. So it was still kind of just trying to figure out, find my role on the team, but also kind of like prove that I can definitely be one of the top guys on that team.
For sure. How was your recruitment that summer, that year, going into your sophomore year?
It was good. I had a lot of, I kind of got a lot of recruitment from Mitch and Tyler. Like, you know, coaches would come see Mitch or Tyler, and then they'd hear about, you know, this little freshman that's playing with them too. And obviously that's going to catch anyone's eye. So
Right.
I would say I had a lot of schools that were just like, you know, beginning to reach out to me and start like, you know, the typical like, hey, we're going to be following you and this, that. And so it was good because I was on a lot of people's radars. And then from that point, I just had to like prove myself, you know?
Oh yeah, I feel that, bro. So your sophomore year, you don't have your older bros with you. You got a few older guys a year older than you, and it's you. You're the star of the team, I would say. What do you remember most from your sophomore year?
Yeah, I think my sophomore year, I kind of knew what I was capable of, but at the same time, I didn't really know. And I remember I got player of the year in our league that year, and there was a lot of like really talented dudes. I think there was like 7 or 8 guys that went Division I in our league that year. And so when I got that honor as like a 15-year-old kid, I was like, man, like I really could do something with this basketball stuff. And so I think it was kind of like I'd begun taking the game really seriously and started putting in a lot of time. And so then it was just fuel to the fire. Like this stuff's working. Like I got to just keep doing what I'm doing. And so it was good for me.
How far did you guys make it your sophomore year?
Let's see. Sophomore year, we made it Sweet 16, and then we played Doherty, and we got it. Brevin and those guys lit us up, man. We got beat. I remember that game. That was bad.
That's crazy. So let's talk about your summer of that year going into your junior year. I feel like that was like I was telling Dalen the same thing when we had his podcast, that I feel like that was a year where you guys all peaked, where you guys were hitting like your best potential. All you guys are dunking. All you guys are getting faster, stronger, more athletic. What was that summer like? And talk about your recruitment.
Yeah, that summer was crazy, man. That was when I really like you said, man, my body started to fully develop. I got to like 6'2", 6'3" that summer. Started to put on a little bit of muscle, started to kind of see the physical parts of my game grow. And so then from there, it just gave me a ton of confidence. And I remember we were really traveling then. We were playing against all the top dudes, and I was playing really well. I was seeing all the work that I put in. It was coming out on the floor, and I was playing really well. And I think I got my first two offers that summer. I got Air Force offered me in like June, and then Idaho State offered me in July. And so that was what I remember I was being shocked because I was like, man, like I got Division I schools recruiting me now, and like all these schools are talking to me seriously. So that was really good. I love that summer.
That was 16s, and I feel like that year Adidas circuit was booming. That was like Dennis Smith's last year of AU. There was a
Yeah,
bunch of big
yeah,
names in that Adidas circuit, and like that was like I feel like that was like the last big year of the Adidas circuit of all
mhm.
like 15, 17s and 15, 16, 17s, and then Nike took over after that. But talk
Yep, yep.
about that Adidas circuit and like how big it was like during that time and just seeing all those players being surrounded by all those coaches. And like you said, you guys are so young. Like that's probably like the first time you guys been in the gym, just super like NBA
Yeah.
talent, literally.
No, yeah, man. That year was I mean that whole Adidas circuit was crazy. Like when you're 15 and 16, you're not at the main place. So you're at like off-site high schools and stuff, but still when you would go to that main field house wherever it was at, like I just remember it was a who's who of like all the top players, and you would see, you'd go to the bathroom, you'd walk by Roy Williams or like Bob Huggins or somebody like that, just all these big name coaches. And so for me, it was just cool, man. I was like, man, like we're here, like, we're on the biggest stage and we're playing against all the top players in the country. And so it was sweet, man. Those are some of the best memories I have of AAU, and like just getting to see kind of where your game's at with some of those dudes, because as a competitor, you want to go out there and go at those guys. You don't want to just see kind of what they're like. You want to see how you do against them. And so kind of go out there and just see what you can do.
Right. That's dope. So um going into your junior year, what the only offers you had was Air Force and Idaho State, or did you pick up a couple more like rolling into the season?
No, I only had those two. I had Air Force and Idaho State, yeah, and then just a bunch of schools that were like, they said they were interested in me or whatever.
Right. Dope. So your junior year, that's like I feel like that's like your last year. You had a little bit of help. You had like Colin, JT, a few other guys. What was your junior season like? What did you learn from that?
Man, that was a year that I still think about that year to this day, because we had a really really talented team, but we also had a team that like we played so well together. I mean, we had a bunch of tough dudes, like a bunch of guys that just wanted to win, and so that year was kind of the year that we elevated Rock Canyon to a place that had never been before. We ended up going to the Final Four that year, and for me, like it was just a year for me to prove like I'm one of the best players around, and I deserved all the recognition that I'm getting. And I mean that whole run, the whole season was crazy. And then we had that game against Grandview where we won, and it was like controversial, but like I mean it is what it is. Yeah, and so that year was really cool for me, man.
Yeah, I remember that. We had just we were playing after you guys actually, so like we had just walked out before like warm ups when that
Yep,
tip went in, and we were
yep,
like, "What the hell?"
yep. No, bro, that was crazy. I remember like that whole moment happened so fast, but I remember like Colin hit the shot to tie the game, and I was like standing there, and I saw it was the older Prim. I can't remember his name, but he took the ball out of bounds. And I saw his eyes, and I'm like, man, he's really about to throw it right to where that guy is. So I just jumped in front, stole the ball, and I was so like I didn't know how much time I had, so I kind of just like rushed the finish and like threw some up, and then the horn didn't go off. I was like, no way. And then all of a sudden, this Nick out of nowhere just came in and tipped it in, and like after that, it was just a blur, bro. Like, I didn't even know what happened. I was just running around like hugging everybody, like throwing everybody. I was like, no way that just happened.
Yo, yeah, that shit was dope. That's crazy. You got to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So, what do you think you learned most from that year? Given you guys lost in the Final Four, had a big moment. What was that Elite Eight? So, what did you think you learned from that year?
I think I just learned like I would say the biggest thing was just I kind of learned how to be just kind of like a dog almost, and just be kind of like be that guy that walks out on the floor. Like it doesn't matter, who I'm playing. Like I'm one of the best players around, and that's kind of got to be my mentality. And I just learned to go out there and just get it done. I put up big numbers that year and just go out there and perform consistently on a day-to-day basis. And that's what I did that year. So that was kind of the biggest thing.
Definitely. So let's transition into your last year of AAU.
Yep.
I feel like this is your guys' year. You and Dalen, best players on the team. I know your guys' recruitment is going out the roof. Because I know that personally, just because I was with Dalen, I talk to Dalen all the time, so I'm always asking him, "Yo, how's your guys'?" He's like, "Bro, everyone's blowing us up. Like you guys are killing people." That's because you guys were playing when you guys were 16s, you guys were playing 17s, so
Yep.
people were already knowing who you guys were. So when you guys got to that level, you guys were just killing. So talk about your last year of AAU. What do you remember most? Your best tournament? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So that like I remember that summer I was a little like pissed off because like I had just had a great high school season. I had all these coaches kind of like talking to me, but I still had the same two offers. And I was like in my head, I was like, bro, there's no way I can go to either two of these schools. Like I got to figure something out. And so I remember like there's a big chip on my shoulder. And that first tournament was the Adidas one in Dallas. And we played, I think it was like our second, we had a warm up tournament, but then we went to Dallas in the Adidas one. And our first game was against Team Loaded. And like, they had like Mac McClung, David McCormick, like all these dudes. I went crazy. I had like 25. I played really well. And then the next morning we played Zion. And that was right when Zion was like blowing up. Like he was like, bro, like you would have thought we were playing in a sold out arena. Like you couldn't even see the court on the other side of you because there were so many people watching. And I was cooking, man. Like I had like 18, 20. We ended up winning by like 25, just dogged them. And so like that whole tournament that was my favorite tournament because we were playing these huge names like on social media and all that. And I was just doing my thing. And like everyone was kind of like, yo, who's this short, skinny little white kid that's out there just cooking? And I remember I picked up, that's when UNC offered me. That's when a couple other schools offered me. And so it was like, that was a tournament where I was really like, I'll never forget that week.
What was it like playing Zion?
Bro, like it was crazy. It was crazy. Like, so I was a captain on the team. Everyone knew who Zion was, obviously. And so I remember I was a captain on the team and I walked up to the captain's meeting, the little handshake you do before the game.
Yeah.
And there was two guys. It was Zion and somebody else. So I introduced myself to the other kid first. I'm like, what's up, man? I'm Sam. And then before I could even say my name to Zion, he goes, hey, what's up, man? I'm Zion. And I was like, bro, like, how are you going to sit here and act like I don't know who you are? Like,
right.
there's a million people here to see you. And like, it was crazy, man. It's weird because like the whole time you're thinking, you're like, man, like, don't get dunked on, don't get put on a post or whatever. But like, once you kind of get into the flow of the game, you just start competing, and then you kind of just realize like it doesn't even matter really who you're playing against. You kind of just go with the flow. But it was really cool, man. It was crazy.
Was he like cocky? Was he humble? Was he a cool dude? What was he like? Or did you not?
No, really? I mean he was a good dude. His team was not good. Like we were smacking them. And so he didn't really have anything to say if he was going to be cocky, but nah, man, there was still a lot of holes in his game at the time. Like we just went zone and he couldn't shoot a free throw. So every time he got near the rim, just foul him. Obviously he's kind of developed that part of his game now, but no, he was a really good dude.
What other big names did you guys play that your last AAU year?
I'm trying to think who else, man. We had Mac McClung that year. We had Keldon Johnson, who ended up he was at Kentucky, now he's on the Spurs. Let me think, man. That's tough.
What was it like playing against? Who do you think was the best player, like big name player, you played against your last year, AAU?
Oof. Man, that's tough. I don't know, man. To be honest, I mean, Zion obviously would probably have been the best. I mean, just he was the real deal. He was nuts. I know we played against Sadiq Bey, who was at Villanova. He was pretty legit. He could really shoot it. He was a talented dude. And then that whole team loaded team, honestly, was crazy, man. I think they had 11 dudes go Division I that year, and they were just from top to bottom. Mac McClung came off the bench. Like
Yeah, that's what I was asked Dalen. I was like, did Max start? He's like, nah, bro. He was coming off the bench. I was like,
Bro,
he's
Matt
like,
McClung had like 6 points against us, bro. Like, didn't even do anything. Their team was just so loaded.
he
Like,
was like, he said it just felt like they just kept subbing in starters.
they just kept subbing in like Power 5 dudes. I'm like, bro, this dude's got an offer from Oklahoma. This dude's got an offer from Villanova. I'm like, bro, who are these guys? Like, it was crazy, bro. I was like, damn.
That's wild. So going into your senior year, what offers did you pick up? Or what offers do you have now going into your senior year?
Let's see. Going into my senior year, I committed before the season even started. I committed to UNC the last tournament in July before Vegas. I committed. I think at the time the offers I had were Air Force, Idaho State, Portland State, Drake, UNC, obviously, Dartmouth. I think there might have been one more, but I think that was it. So I had like 6 or 7.
So what made you choose UNC?
For me, man, it was honestly a really easy decision because like I wanted to go I didn't really care necessarily about location. I kind of just wanted to go somewhere where like I knew the coach really liked me and I could kind of rock out a little bit. And Coach Linder, he called me all the time, and like all the assistants called me all the time, and it was obvious to me that like I was definitely kind of a priority for them on the recruiting list. And so that was all I needed to hear. Because then at the end of the day, I was like, bro, like I live an hour 20 minutes from here, and like just the way they played too, I thought fit my game really well. And they were really big on letting their guards kind of play and giving them a lot of freedom. And so that was all I really needed to hear. And so that's kind of what allowed me to commit pretty early. Was I kind of knew right away it was a pretty easy decision.
That's dope. That's crazy. It sounds like the love there for the players is there because Dalen said the same thing when he got on the portal that coaches were showing him love like nonstop, like definitely made him feel like they wanted him there.
Yeah, and like I mean, as I went through the recruiting process, you could kind of tell like who was just talking to me just because they felt like they were sort of obligated to talk to me, and like you could tell who was talking to me because they really wanted me. And UNC, I could tell like they really really wanted me, and so it was a no-brainer for me.
That's dope. So let's transition to this big senior year. You win 5A Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year. You lead. That was the year you leading scorer of your school. Let's talk about your senior year. What do you remember? Your last year of high school.
Yeah, senior year, man. That was a crazy year. It was awesome, man, because it was just kind of like the culmination of all the work I'd put in and everything I'd done over the past 3-4 years, and it all just came out. And I had all these like I wanted to win all these awards, but at the end of the day, it wasn't really my like priority. I was just like, I'm just gonna go do my thing, and and then all the awards came in like that 1 week span. Like I just remember like hearing all these things, and I was like, man, like it was cool for me just in the sense of like nobody from Rock Canyon had ever done anything like that, and so to kind of be the first guy from where I'm from and like for that school to do that, it was really, really cool for me. Yeah, and it just made me thankful for the whole thing. And so on top of that, we had a really good team, and we were one of the top teams in the state that whole year, so it was really good.
My bad, y'all. We had some technical difficulties, but I asked you how far did you guys make it your senior year?
So senior year, let's see. We made it to the Final Four, and then we lost in the Final Four. We lost to G-Dub in the Final Four. We should have lost in the Sweet 16 though. We played Eagle Crest at home, and like X was going crazy. Brandon Bunn was going crazy. Like we were down probably 15 with like 7 minutes to go in the game, and we came back and forced overtime, and then we won. It was a crazy game, but yeah, and then we ended up losing in the Final Four.
To G-Dub.
Yep.
What was that last? What were you feeling that last game? You just took an L to your AAU teammate.
Yeah.
What was that feeling? What were you feeling after that?
Yeah, bro, that game was crazy because Tyson hit a shot with like 8 seconds left to put us up 1, and then we fouled Devin Harris with like 0.4, 0.5 on the clock, something like that. And it was just it was like a crazy foul. It wasn't even a shooting foul. It was on the floor. And so he went to the line, made 1 free throw, so went to overtime. And then we had a bunch of dudes in foul trouble, and then a bunch of things just kind of didn't go our way. We ended up losing in overtime. But like I just remember when that happened, like it was crazy for me, man, because like I felt like high school basketball is kind of the last point where basketball is not really like a job almost. You know, high school basketball is the last time you like really play just like for the love of the game, and it's not like as serious. And I had just been playing with all the guys on my team for so long, so it was hard, man. But at the end of the day, looking back on it, what we did was crazy, and like it's something that I don't think will be done at that school for a long, long time. So it was super special.
That's dope, bro. That's great memories to have playing on a team like that, especially playing with guys you've played with for so long. Those
Yeah.
memories
No.
last
Yeah.
forever.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's transition into your start having to put on your big boy shoes. You get up to UNC. I'm not gonna let you describe UNC because I already made Dalen describe it. So let's get in straight into your freshman year. You averaged 1.4 and 2, and you have a career high of 23. What did you learn your freshman year at UNC?
Yeah, my freshman year, man, was a lot like my freshman year of high school. Because I was playing with, we had JD at the time, who was the player of the year in the league that year. And then we had Jonah, who should have been the player of the year in the league last year. So that two really super talented guards, and they were just coming off a 26-win season. So for me, it was kind of just like, man, like just trying to figure out kind of what my role is, and like being a guy that won all those awards my senior year of high school, naturally, like people would have just assumed that like I was supposed to come in and just be this guy that was, freshman of the year, averaging 15. And like for me, like in order for us to kind of keep winning the way we had been, I kind of had to take a back seat, and kind of be more of a role player, more of an energy guy, which is something that I hadn't really ever done in my life. And so it was definitely a year full of ups and downs. But at the same time, I think it was good because I was able to kind of pluck myself into a team that was already really talented and be able to get a lot of minutes. And ultimately, I don't feel like really didn't skip a beat. We had the same success. We won 20-something games that year. And so it was a really good year, I would say. It was a different year.
What do you think was the biggest lessons you learned your freshman year playing with some like those guys you said, the player of the year, and then playing with Jonah? What do you think you learned your freshman year? Like the biggest lesson you learned?
Yeah, I just think I just learned how to, sacrifice myself for kind of the bigger. I used to always judge so much of my performance in basketball based off how I was doing individually. And that year I really had to like look myself in the mirror and be like, okay, like, I'm not going to be able to get 15, 20 shots a game like I'm used to. I'm going to get 5 or 6. So I got to do whatever I can to impact the game in other ways to make sure that our team's still successful, because ultimately when you get to college, like that's all the coaches care about. They just care about winning. And so I was like, I want to do whatever I can to win. And so I think that's what I was able to do that year.
Definitely. That's dope, bro. So let's transition to your sophomore year. You average 8, 1.3, and 2. You shot 40% from the 3. That's good as hell. So we'll talk about your sophomore year. What do you take from that?
And my sophomore year, that was.
Oh, I forgot to mention you're battling some injuries too.
Yeah,
So
it was you want to talk about some highs and some lows, man. It was kind of, I got a concussion after our first game. So I had to sit out 2, and I got back in, started playing well again. I was playing really well, and we got midway through conference, and we were in practice one day, and I was just like guarding somebody like I always do. I had my hand up, and the kid I was guarding made like a weird little move, and my hand got caught, and I right away, like I just heard something snap, and so I broke my shooting hand.
oh,
And so like that whole year, it was just like kind of trying to get my body like able to play. That was kind of what I felt like I was doing the whole year. And I like once I only missed probably 7, 8 games with my hand. And then once I came back though, it was like trying to learn how to play basketball again. Like the feeling in my hand, I had all this metal and all these screws in it. And so like nothing was the same. And so I had to kind of figure out how to like get all that feeling back in my hand and be able to do all the things I used to be able to do. So it was a super frustrating year for me. And that was the first time in my life I'd ever really gotten like pretty hurt like that. And so I kind of had to like figure out how to overcome that adversity and still, try and get myself back into the form that I was. And so it was hard. But overall, I still thought I had a good year considering, all the injuries I was battling. And I think my stats would have been a lot better if I didn't break my hand because they were a lot better at the time. Then I came back and you have a few games where they drop a bunch. But overall, I thought it was a good year despite everything that happened.
That's dope. What do you think you learned the most out of your like fighting, learning how to fight adversity?
Yeah, definitely. I would, for one, man, it was just never take the game like for granted. Because like I said, I had never really had like a serious injury where I had to miss like a substantial amount of time for. And so I was really fortunate that I had that kind of luck. And then, when the whole thing with my hand happened, I had to just kind of like when I came back, like I just remember every day in practice was such a like I was so happy just to even be out there and be playing again. And so I think I just learned not to take it for granted because it could be taken away so quickly just like that. And so that was the biggest thing.
Definitely. Hell yeah, bro. So let's transition to your junior year. You got one of your AAU teammates over there. How's it doing? How's it feel having Dalen back on your team?
Yeah, man, it's awesome having him back. He's a guy that I'm pretty close with just over the years. And I remember when he put his name in the portal, like I reached out to him a bunch too. I just kept telling him like, hey man, like we could really do something kind of special. And so then, now that he's got here, I think it took him a little bit of time just because obviously it's a different system. It's a whole different adjustment. But now that he's kind of got it figured out, man, you start to see like really how talented he is. And we got a lot of guys on our team that complement him well. So I think we got a really good team this year. I'm excited.
That's dope. What goals do you have for yourself this year?
Yeah, for me, man, I'm one of those guys after my high school career, I was one of those guys that, I won every single personal accolade you could win. And at the end of the day, I didn't win a state championship and I still feel kind of like broken because of that. So for me, it's like, I don't really care necessarily about being an all league guy. Obviously that's something I want to do. And I'm just going to work to do that. But at the end of the day, the biggest goal for me is to win a championship, and to play in March Madness and get to experience all of that. I think that's kind of the biggest thing for me.
Definitely. And do you have any like key matchups this year? Do you got somebody that busted your ass last year that you're like, yeah, I'm gonna come back for you next year, buddy? You
Yeah.
got anybody on your radar?
I'm trying not necessarily individually.
Or like a team like that busted y'all. Not it doesn't even have to be like a player, like a team you got like, yo, they busted us, like we're coming for you this year.
I would say for me, definitely Eastern Washington because they beat us twice. One game I didn't play because that was when I was out with my hand. And they beat us twice. Montana is always a team that like Montana is a school that like I have a ton of respect for and like they're always really, really good. And so it's kind of like, if you want to win a championship, you got to beat the best. And so that whenever we play them, it's always a huge game. And they got a bunch of really good dudes on that team. So that's one I always, as a competitor, I love playing against them. And then I would say Northern Arizona was one for me because when I came back from my hand, I played terrible against them. I didn't score a point. I was like 0 for 6. Like I played terrible. It was my first game back, and I was playing terrible. And so for them, like, and I played well when we played them before the hand, and so I was like, all right, I gotta prove myself again when we play them. So I'm looking forward to that one too.
Definitely, that's dope. So I'm about to definitely lock in on those games to see what y'all do. I tried to ask Dalen. That dude just said he's just ready. He was plays whoever. He don't care.
Yeah, no, I feel well, yeah, I mean he's kind of new to the whole thing, so he doesn't really know kind of how.
Hey, bro. Now that I have I've always wanted to ask. So Dalen? He really don't talk that much on the court. Is he the same, or is he vocal?
Yeah, I will say I've heard. There's been times I've seen him like there's a side to him like he can start talking. If someone like pisses him off or says something to him that rubs him the wrong way, like he can get a little vocal. It just comes out at random times. You never really know when you're about to get it.
Oh yeah, I be telling that nigga. I be telling him, bro, speak up. You need to talk. Like we be talking. He be talking all quiet. I'm like, come on, Coons, speak up. So I just wanted to know from because I played with him my senior year, and then I wanted to know from being him in college, you being his teammate, him on and off the court if he was the same way. So I was just curious.
No, yeah.
So what are you looking forward to the most this year?
Man, I think just the opportunity to play, man. Because I mean, the last 7-8 months have just been so weird, and you kind of in the back of your mind, you're just thinking like, man, I want to just be back to playing again. Because our season got taken from us at the end last year. We didn't even get to play an attorney, so I think just using that frustration, that anger, to go out there and just compete again and just feel that blessing of being able to play basketball again is big.
That's dope, bro. I'm excited for you guys. Like I told Dalen, I'm about to be locked in. I hopefully want to be able to go up there and get both of you guys on a pod together and just talk about the season and stuff. Maybe get a few of your teammates.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be dope, man.
But let's transition out of that. Let's talk about what's your top 5 in the NBA right now? Top 5 players.
Oh. All right, I'm a big LeBron guy, and just because they just won, I'm gonna keep LeBron one. I'm gonna go Bron one.
Okay.
Let me think here. Let me think. I'm gonna go Giannis 2. Even though he had a little underperform and whatever, I'm gonna go Giannis 2.
I like that,
bro. Like, to be honest with you, I really am thinking about throwing Luka at 3.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't blame you.
I really think he's going to be 3. I still think Steph's going to be in there, and I still think KD.
For sure.
I mean, they didn't play this year, so you kind of like forget about him. But I'm going to still throw those 2 up there too.
Definitely. What about your top 5 artists? Who are you bumping?
Ooh. Big, bro. I love Drake. Like, to be honest with you, Drake's a big guy. I like Future a little bit. I like YoungBoy. A bunch of guys on my team have been putting me on with YoungBoy.
Oh, Sam is on YoungBoy.
I would throw him up there, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think. And then from there, like, I don't know. I mean, Lil Baby, you can't go wrong with him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Outside of that, I don't know. I listen to all kinds of music, so it kind of just varies.
What's your favorite genre, you would say?
To be honest with you, it kind of depends what I'm doing. Like, if I'm like working out, like obviously I'll go rap. But like if I'm just like chilling by myself, like low key, I listen to country. Like, no shame, I listen to country.
Definitely.
And I like 80s music too. I mess heavy with 80s music, so it kind of just varies on what I'm doing.
Hell yeah. Colin tried to put me on some country music because we play Chaos together 2 years.
Yeah,
so
bro, Colin's the country man. He introduced me to a ton of songs.
Colin's character, man.
Yeah, he's the man. I love that guy.
So who would you like to see on the show, bro? Like, it could be your ex-teammates, some of your teammates now.
Ooh, wait. So who have you had on already?
So far I've had Kobe, I've had Dalen, I've had Jazik, and I had Quan, and then now you're my 6th one.
Okay. I'm trying to think, man. Damn, there's a lot of dudes out there. I don't know if you know Bodie at all, but he'd be cool.
Your teammate, yeah. Didn't he play with you guys on the Hawks?
He played our 17U year. Yep. So he's
okay.
I'm trying to think who else, man. I mean, X is pretty funny, to be honest with you. I don't even know what I haven't talked to him in forever, but he's pretty funny.
Yeah, I was wondering what X was doing.
I would love to be real with you too. I would love to hear if you could get like Coach Simeon on.
Bro, what? That's a great idea.
I think he would have some really good kind of. Well, I mean, he was obviously the head of the whole thing, so hear his stories would be pretty funny too.
Bruh, yeah, I'm about to definitely get him on here. That would be dope.
Yeah, he
definitely. Just because I had you and Dalen, so like you guys are 2 of his guys, so definitely pick his brain.
Yeah, definitely.
Get him to tell some stories about you guys on the pod.
Well, and that our AAU team was all like that was his team, so like he probably remembers all that even way better than I do. So he would have some good ones.
Hell yeah. But shit, bro, thanks for coming on the show, man. It means the world to me. I appreciate you for taking the time out your day.
Oh yeah, man, of course, man. It's awesome to see you're doing big things with this. I can't wait to promote it and stuff like that. That'll be awesome.
Hell yeah, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my guy.